Hi, I'm Hajar Dalawal. I'm a product marketing manager for Windows Commercial at Microsoft. In this series, the Windows IT Pro Stories, I'm speaking with IT professionals to learn about the experiences on Windows 11. So with me is Doug Kinzinger. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Arjeet. I'm glad to be here. So I'm from Central Illinois, right in the middle of corn and bean fields, and I'm an IT director. I work for a consulting firm. I've been there 18 years, and we've transitioned into the MSP mindset as a lot of consulting firms have.
And let's talk about Windows 11, right? And you've heard, we at Microsoft, we talk about Windows 11 for the enterprise. It's the most secure operating system. What's your take on the security aspects of Windows 11?
Yeah, I think it was prudent of Microsoft to decide to make Windows 11 require the hardware TPM, and that brings with it a whole new breed of hardware that is sort of designed from a security perspective from the ground up. Secure boot on by default and TPM make two ruggedized requirements that make Windows 11 appealing.
So what are they looking forward to with Windows 11, and why are they moving to that to this area of the modern
Sure.
space?
Yeah, as a lot of line of business apps become more cloud native, and as our workforce continues to be hybridized, some are in the office and some are remote, and some are a mixture of both. Passwordless authentication and the goal to eliminate the password that's written on a post-it note underneath the keyboard like we used to do 20 plus years ago. With built-in security features, it can help make the product more secure than previous iterations of Windows. We're also using things like Windows Sandbox for testing some of our apps, and we can talk about that too if you want.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's a great great solution in Windows 11, right? So is that something that your IT team uses, Windows Sandbox, and as well as your customers, and for
Yeah.
what purposes?
Yeah, so Windows Sandbox we can use to test apps. We can also use browsers in the sandbox to, if we needed to vet a website or something like that, we could. And one of the other things that we recommend doing too is having someone or a member of the IT team join the Windows Insider program and test Windows 11 and the development builds on your fleet of devices that you're going to be deploying Windows 11 to. From there, you can use your line of business apps on them, see how they perform, see if there's any bugs that you need to take back to your developers if you have developers, or whatever software vendor you're working with to see if they've made their devices and their software certified for Windows 11.
Yeah, that's a good call on the Windows Insider program for that purpose. I was going to ask you about, what tools do you use to do testings of Windows 11 builds and to test new features that are releasing and stuff like that. So is that something you guys do in your company?
Yeah, and we'll test. We kind of have a list of certified hardware, or at least hardware that we consider to be certified that we've had good track records with, and that we're interested in deploying on a larger scale, perhaps, or devices that we'd recommend to customers, be they Surface PCs or Surface laptops, or devices from HP or Dell or Lenovo. And as long as we're able to get our hands on those products and put Windows 11 on them, we'll kind of put them through our own paces, our own testing methodologies to see, okay, are these going to pass muster when we give them over to the customer?
So in terms of IT professionals in your organizations as well as your customers, what are the things that they are saying that they really enjoy about Windows 11?
Some of the interesting feedback we've gotten about it is that there were some users that were early adopters of Windows 11. Maybe these users were administrators of their own PCs or power workers at the customer org, and they decided to upgrade to Windows 11 on their own. And in previous years, that would be a process that would involve IT and that would involve multiple calls to the help desk. Hey, my printer doesn't work anymore, or my webcam quit working, or something like that. And we just have not had those calls with the upgrade to Windows 11, which I think is good to the testament of, we're dealing with newer hardware designs than we ever have been. Stuff just seems to work a lot better now than it did in just a few years ago.
So your IT teams are basically reporting back that help desk calls are actually being reduced because of Windows 11.
Yeah, definitely compared to previous versions as well. And the calls that our team would have expected to get, like, hey, I can't find this, or this has moved, or this has changed, we actually haven't gotten those. And that actually kind of surprised some of our team members, rather. I think they anticipated, well, when we roll out Windows 11, we're going to get calls about where to find this, and we just haven't had that, and that's good.
So what are your customers asking you about Windows 11, and asking for your assistance or to help them embrace, and in terms of management and keeping them secure? What are the tools that you're using as well for that?
Sure. Microsoft Intune is a big one, and a lot of our customers, in fact, really all of them, already have some sort of Azure and M365 presence, which helps the sell should it be necessary. Um, but the big question our customers are asking is, can we trust Windows 11? Is it secure? And the answer, of course, is yes. It's built on Windows 10. It has lots of improvements from Windows 10. Um, and Microsoft just keeps continuing the trajectory of making their products as secure as possible. Another good example is a lot of the legacy features in previous versions of Windows, like .NET 2.0, they're disabled by default. So that just reduces the footprint and the exposure on the PC. One less thing to go wrong.
And I got to ask you. You've been using Windows 11, obviously, and you're really deep into it. So, any tips and tricks that you think you would like to share for IT professionals?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mentioned the Windows Insider program. Big fan of that program because that kind of allows the IT pro to keep his or her pulse on the trajectory of where things are going. There's a lot of exciting changes coming. I think there's some changes coming to the File Explorer in future builds of Windows 11. And get active in web forums, the Microsoft Learning site, and there's lots of third-party blogs out there where they're filled with enthusiasts who love to talk about the product and use it, and have their own opinions on what they think they should do and which direction they should go, for example.
Do you use any of the? Do you or your team uses any of the accessibility features that are broken down by hearing, speech, and interaction?
We have some that rely a lot on touch, so they use the touch keyboard and maybe primarily use touch as their primary interface. There has been some text-to-speech and speech-to-text users. I've got one in particular I can think of that utilizes that functionality. Those are continuing to mature and evolve too. And Microsoft recently acquired the company Nuance, which is kind of known for their voice transcription services, and seems that their features and their services are going to be integrated across the Microsoft stack. So that'll be another step in the increasing accessibility for all computer users.
As a leader of your organization, and working with customers and things like that, what is your advice and recommendations for IT professionals and enterprises that are kind of like hesitant at the moment to move to Windows 11 Enterprise, and why should they do that?
Yeah, that is a great question too. If there's any sort of resistance to upgrading, I can understand that. I think any business leader could. At the very least, try it. Even if you don't have a PC that's compatible with Windows 11, hey, have your IT team hook you up with one just so you can test it, just so you can play with it. Put a requisition out there to get one, or whatever process the user has to go through, the IT team has to go through. And play with it. Run your line of business apps on it. Visit your line of business websites on it. Get the feel for it. Because quite really, the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and you realize, oh, my stuff still works on Windows 11. It's got a different UI than Windows 10, but it's not daunting enough that I would recommend someone not take the step.
And I've learned a few things from you as well today. So I appreciate your time. This has been wonderful, listening to you and getting your perspectives on Windows 11. And thank you, everyone, for watching, the Windows IT Pro Stories. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Arjit.